Hey, what's going on, guys? What I wanted to actually do like a serious video. So everybody, like I said in my last video, which was wonderful, by the way. Um, Everybody's talking about their opinions on the core map and you know how things have been going with that and all that stuff. Um, Before I get into that, my thoughts on core so far. I wanted to give a few shout outs, and I'll put everybody's channel down below, whether it's YouTube or Twitch. You guys are welcome to check them out. Chillin, thank you for the host the other day. Zane, thank you for the host the other day. To Bearded Gamer, you hosted me back in the predecessor alpha, so I appreciate that. Also, wanted to say thanks to Mongoose and Mandi for having me on For the Minions, and Mongoose for having me on a few things since then, as well as Burdick for having me on the stream a few times. So everybody that I've gotten to meet over um, these last few months, it's been fun. I've gotten to meet a lot of new people, a lot of cool people. So um, I appreciate that a lot, and any support is always nice. Any help that you guys have given me is always nice, so I appreciate it. Um, when it comes to the map test itself, I've watched a few streamers go over the map. Um, some people have kind of dived into trying to kind of give input on the map, but I don't really feel like you can right now because we don't know anything about the game really at all, right? So I know uh, Notch had kind of given a lot of input on the map, um, and I'm not bad mouthing Notch or anything like that. I mean, I think he's a great guy, but I don't agree with a lot of what he said for a few reasons. For one, we don't know how wards work. We don't know the range of vision that we get from wards. We don't know how they're even doing wards, whether or not you're having to buy them like you did in Paragon, or maybe you start out with wards in League. I don't know. Um, we also don't know how dewarding works. Once you deward somebody, um, how soon are they going to be able to have vision there again? Are they going to have to go back and buy wards? Or are they going to have two wards like in League that are on CD once they're used? So we don't have a lot of information on how that works. We also don't know movement speed, if it's the same as it is in the map test. I don't know if that's been confirmed or not. I assume that jump height is going to be kind of comparable to Paragon, but we don't know how high the jump height is. So, or at least they haven't specifically stated anything on that. So we don't know, which parts of the map are necessarily accessible to everybody, and which parts are not. When it comes to all the crazy vertical areas that they have, where you can, you know, you very obviously will be able to traverse if you're a jungler or a character with a lot of mobility. The other thing is that they talked about uh, uh, kind of sums or summoner spells in the POC that Sylphin did, or that Sylphin was presenting. So we also don't know if that's going to be a factor. That's also going to make those areas and traversing the map a little bit different than it was in Paragon. I mean, in Paragon, obviously you had blinks, but not everybody had them. Whereas if we have summoner spells, I would it'd be a pretty safe bet to say that everybody's going to take their version of Flash or Blink if they have that in there. So anyway, I don't think that we can until we have more information about what the game is actually going to be, I can't. I don't feel like I can accurately judge a map. I don't know how good it's going to be unless I know what the mechanics and the gameplay is going to be like. You know, it's kind of like just looking at a. I don't know. It doesn't do anything for me. I will say that the map graphically looks wonderful. You know, I mean, I think that they did a really good job. Honestly, I think it looks better than Monolith. But to me, you know, I don't really give a shit about graphics if the gameplay isn't there. I'd rather play some N64 looking polygon ass shit that has good gameplay than play some pretty polished turd. You know what I'm saying? So like looking at the map right now to me is like looking at a 300-pound woman with two teeth in her head that's wearing a tube top at Walmart. It's just not doing it for me. And I'm not saying anything bad about fat people. I'm just saying, you know, it's not what I'm into. So until we have more information about the gameplay, you know, I'm going to hold judgment off on the map. Graphically, it's great. How it will play, I don't know. Um, so the other thing I wanted to talk about with Core is kind of their direction of the game, which they haven't, like I said, they haven't really shown anything on. And you know, like with the map, I'm holding my judgment until we have more kind of solid information on how gameplay is going to be, what mechanics they're going to have in there, and what they're not going to have. And honestly, as much as people shitted on the old POCs, um, I kind of wish they hadn't deleted them. You know, because at least that gave us some information as to what they were trying to do with it. There was a few things. Um, there are a few things that were kind of stupid, right? And you know, I don't know. I don't mean to offend anybody over at Core. If it was their baby, these ideas, I just personally I don't agree with them. The randomized jungle camps. There, I think they mentioned like having like 15 randomized jungle camps. I don't know if that would be that they change every time the camp is killed, or it's just a set spawn at random when the game starts. I hope that they have removed that because that's an awful idea, in my opinion. For one, you're not going to know how to path as a jungler if that's random. For two, you're not going to know how the other jungler paths, which is a pretty big thing. And that also ties into the laners. Um, the laners aren't going to know. You know, I mean, being part of having jungle in the game is it's it's its own role, but it's it kind of has its own kind of set rules, right? It's different from laning. It's like the one thing that's different from laning. You know, you have a different job than everybody else in a MOBA, um, but there kind of still needs to be some sort of formula to it because if you just make it all random, it's just going to be impossible for you to, as a laner, to be able to know where the other jungler is based on their character and how those characters usually path. Um, it's going to be impossible, like I said, to know how you should path or how the other jungler is going to path if you're a jungler, and that takes out a lot of strategy to the game. It also makes it so you can't really effectively use mind games to kind of trip people up if they're used to a certain kind of pathing, which is just like another mix-up that you can do in a game. Um, the other thing I didn't like, they talked about like some sort of harvester mini game, like if you aim at these dots or some shit, you get to harvest faster. I don't know. That just seems like a redundant mechanic, personally. Um, so I hope that they took that out because it's just that's such a like a. I mean, that hardly has any influence in the game. So why even have like a mechanic like that? You know, it's so small and it's just kind of asinine. You're just doing it to do it. There's no I don't know. I mean, at high elo, or I mean, even at low elo, if it's just like some aiming shit, like everybody's just gonna do it anyway. So why even have it? You know, everybody's gonna be good at that. So anyway, I hope that they took that out. The last thing that I didn't like was the evolved hero abilities. I'm sorry, Sylphin, if that's your baby. I think that is. Um, I don't think that it's necessarily a bad idea. I like it better than the other two that I just talked about. Uh, but I don't. I think it just kind of makes things too convoluted, especially if you're talking about like having to use the ability to level it up. Like for one, if I'm on the enemy team, how am I going to keep track of what ability the other five members are empowering or whatever? You know, and am I going to be able to see which ability they pick, or am I also going to be able to see like how close they are to empowering it? Because that just kind of like it could be the deciding factor on whether or not to go for a play if they have some sort of ability that's slightly buffed. And if I don't have that knowledge ready and available for me, then you know I might make a play that I really wouldn't do otherwise, and end up throwing the game or something. So I don't think that that's that great of an idea in the grand scheme of things. I think if there was some way to kind of keep track of all that stuff and it wasn't very complicated, and each ability didn't really get empowered by, I mean, didn't really get buffed that much when it got empowered, then like, maybe. But you're also just kind of limiting yourself to the option of like, if you don't have that in the game, if you just have it like regular, well, then you can add some characters later on down the road that have that mechanic built into their kit, like some of the characters in League, which is always cool. It makes them a different champ. The ideas that I'm really stoked on, and I hope that you guys at Core, if anybody's still watching at this point, I know I'm fucking boring as shit, and who gives a fuck about my opinion? That's why I hate doing these videos. It's like, who the fuck am I? Why does it matter? It doesn't matter, But anyway, I'm sitting here doing this shit because that's what everybody else is doing. So, um, I hope that you guys at Core release, like, even if it's, I don't need, none of us need to see anything, but if we have like some sort of like, hey, this is what we're thinking about adding into the game. We're going in this direction. It's pretty fucking neat. Check us out. Like, this is what the game is gonna be like. Instead of just like, hey, run around in this map and like play hide and seek. That's cool and stuff. But like, I'd rather know what the game is going to be like down the road. Even if you don't have anything to show, maybe just releasing like some sort of like newsletter, like, hey, this is what's going on. We're thinking about adding this into the game. What do you guys think about it? These are some of the mechanics in the game. What do you guys think? Like, that would be cool shit. And definitely would be increasing the transparency a lot. So I think that that would be a good thing for you guys. Um, but some of the things that I did like about the old POC was the idea of like summoner spells. I think that that's a fantastic idea. I think that that makes laning more dynamic. It makes the potential for outplays a lot more dynamic, um, or the potential for outplays increases with that. Um, I like the idea of jungle camp stacking. That also, for one, makes jungle. I mean, summoner spells make the skill ceiling higher. Obviously, stacking jungle camps is the same way. That's going to make the skill ceiling higher for junglers and even laners too, because I'm sure they can come if they're winning their lane and they've got it pushed up and they don't have anything to do. Well, then boom, they can come, rotate in, full camp, let it stack, and then the jungler will be even more ahead because of the efforts of their really intelligent, big-brained laners like Sockcap. So I think that's a good mechanic. Um, I think an open item shop is the way to go. And yeah, like the card system in Paragon, that shit was trash. Let's be real. I mean, there's a lot of people that played MOBAs that wouldn't come over to Paragon because of the fact you like you kidding me? I have to make a deck. I have to fucking limit myself. I have to go into a game against these characters and possibly not have some sort of counterplay option to them because I didn't put that card in my deck. Like that's nah, fuck that. Just make it an open item shop. I don't care if you draw a square around that shit and say it's a card. That's fine. Whatever. That doesn't make it any different, really. You know, just make it an open item shop. I mean, you'll get more people interested that were outside of Paragon by doing that one thing. That's it. So anyway, that's pretty much all I got to say. You can check me out at twitch.tv/slash sockcap. I play League a lot. I hate it. There's nothing else to play. I hate my life. Anyway, you guys have a good day, and I'll talk to you later. All right, peace.